Hilche Sha'ar Avos Hatumos Perek Tishasa. So here the Rambam is going to talk behemshach to the din of Safek Tumah Rishus Harabim Sveki Tor. So even though the din is Safek Tumah Rishus Harabim Sveki Tor, but if you have two Svekas, on each Safek there's a L'chura, there should be the din Sveki Tor. But Lepel, we know that one of these Svekas are Tameh, and Lepel, that both Svekas are Emid L'fanenu, you have to be done on both Svekas, the Basachas. You can't say that on each Safek Sveki Tor, because we know that one of them is Tameh. So over here we'll have to say Tameh. That's the yesod of this din. Perek Tishasa. Shnei Shvilin, you have two paths. Echad Tameh ve'echad Tor. And Holach be'echad mem. He went on one of these paths. Ve'eni yedua be'ez mem holach. He doesn't know which one he went on. It's not known which one he went on. Now, so the din is, Doch L'chura, that since it's Eni yedua, so it's Safek Tumah B'Shus Harabim Sveki Tor, so mainly has the din of Tor. And then he went ahead v'osa taris v'nechlu. He went and did taris, and they ate up the taris. And then v'hizo shlishu shvi v'tovel v'tor, which is really lechatchila what he should do. What he should do is, even though we're saying that sveki tor, but lepel what he should do is be mazer shlishi shvi v'tovel v'tor. So no, the fact that he went now on that first path, the first time he path, there's no suffix anymore, because lepel he was hizo shlishi shvi v'tovel v'tor. Now v'halach b'sheni. Now he went on the other one. Again, he doesn't know which one he went on, but he knows that he didn't go on the first one. So Memela, so he was either Tommy the first time or was Tommy the second time. He's not sure when he became Tommy. But Lepeil, from the first, if he became Tommy the first time, so that's already gone because he was Tavel V'tor. If he became Tommy the second time, so then he's Tommy. So right now, Be'emes, it's Ki'ilu, he only went once. Because the fact that he went the first time, he was already Tavel V'tor. So now v'holach b'sheni v'osa taris. So the din is harei teres, because it's a din of Safek Tumah B'Rishus Harabim Sveki Tor. So even though Lepel, he went on both paths, but after he went on the first path, he was the Tavel, he was Hiza Shlishu Shvi v'Tavel, so that's gone. So now it's Kili, he went on one path. Now this is only talking about this din that he's Tor now, the taris are Tor, is if the first taris were already eaten. So Mela, there's no dion on the first taris, there's only a dion on the second taris, and these second taris have one suffix. Did he go on the Tamidika path this second time? However, v'im kayomas rishenis, if the first taris are still around, he never ate it. In other words, he went ahead and he touched taris after the first time, and then he touched taris after the second time. In between, Hitaka was tavel v'tor, but lepel, the first taris are still here, so the din is elu ve'elu tluyas. So Mimele, you can't go ahead and say that both taris are tor, because either he was tummy the first time and those taris are tummy, or he was tummy the second time and those taris are tummy. So Mimele, since both taris are still in existence, so Mimele, you have to be done on both taris. Shebevadi she'echad min hataris tor. So tummy. So Mimele, he can't paskin on both taris that they're tor, and Mimele, so they're both tummy. So in the case where he was table and he already ate the taris, we're talking about he was table. If he wasn't table, so then he was vade tommy the second time. We're talking about there was a suffix the first time, and there was a suffix the second time, and he himself, the suffix the second time is a separate suffix because lepel, he was table in between. The question is only, are those taris that he touched originally, are they still in existence? If they're still in existence, so right now we have to be done on both of them, and maybe we can't be done on both of them leheter, so therefore we're done on both of them lehiser. Masha'enkin, if the first ones were already eaten, so now we're only being done on the second. Since we're only being done on the second, so Memela, the second we can be done and say the Torah. This is talking about that he was toivel between the first and the second. Now, the imlay tar bintayim, if lepel he wasn't toivel bintayim, is her rishenis tluyas. The first ones are tluyas, are the suffix. Aber v'hashniyas yisarfu, sharei hein tmeyas bevadeh. The second ones are yisorfu because they're tmeyas bevadeh. Shezet tamihu mipnei shahola b'shnei hashvilu. So l'chura, this second din that the second ones are tamei vadeh, that's pashut. Because lepel, since he went on the first and then he went on the second, and in the middle he wasn't tevel, so bepashut, so it's pashut that he's tummy, and the second one is tummy. The question is, but l'chura, why are the rishenes tluyas? L'chura, if there wouldn't have been a second time, so then the din would have been that the rishenes would have been tyrus, because lepel, it's a suffix is start. Now over here, there's only really one suffix about the first. About the first is a suffix, and about the second is a vade. The second is a vade. So why don't we say the second is a vade? So that's takatomi, and the first is a suffix. And this first will say is tar because there's no tar to the sasri. There's no two. If there's two sveikas and you're asking that both of them is tar, so that's a tar to the sasri. But over here there's only one suffix. So l'chura, why can we paskin that the first suffix is tar and the second is tummy because it's tummy vade? So and that explanation is because lepeil. Why is the second tmei is vade? The second tmei is vade because he went on the first and they went on the second. So in other words, we're reckoning Zach with the first and the second as making him into Tmei Vade. So we're not like disregarding the first. In a normal case, we say a person went on one, so we say it's a suffix tor, we nemon, he went on the tor. We nemon, he went on the tor. So basically the psak din is, it's not stam, the psak din is that if there's a suffix, whether he went on the tummy or on the tor, the psak din is he went on the tor. That's the din. Over here, we can't say we're making a psak din he went on the Torah. If it is a psak din that he went on the Torah, so why is the second Tommy Vadai? The answer is the reason why the second Tommy is Vadai is because B'tzir of the first and the second, he definitely was Tommy. So we are reckoning Zech with the Tum of the first. No, if we're reckoning Zech with the Tum of the first, you can't go ahead and say, Legabi, the first person when he touched it, after the first time he touched the Torah, that it should be Torah. And therefore, we say that it's Tluy. That's the Chiddush, and Nachamol. When a person goes ahead and just touches one, so we say that it was tar. That's the pshat. Sofik tumah b'shus harabim sveiki tar. That the sofik is tar, and we nemon lekula. We nemon lekula. But you can't nemon lekula about both of them because it would be a tar to the sashi. Now, what happens if the second one is tummy vadai because he wasn't table in between the first and the second? So lepel, once we establish that the second one is tummy vadai, we're not neming on that the rishon is tor. Because if the rishon was tor, why is the second tummy vadai? Why is the second tummy vadai if you're naming on the rishon is tor? So elamai, you say you recognize out that the rishon is a suffix tummy suffix. So knows you be matzar of the rishon and the sheni to make him a tummy vadai. So mainly you can also say that the rishon is a suffix, is legabi the taris hushain is a suffix tor. Yeah, that's this din. So vashni is yisorfa sharein tmeis bevadei shezet tummy umepnei sha'ala b'shnei shvilim. The same thing would be a sheretz v'atzvardeya b'shus harabim. You have a sheretz and a tzvardeya. A tzvardeya is not metami and a sheretz is metami. Ve'ein tzurasim nikeres, and you can't see which one is the sheretz and which one is the tzvardeya. Ve'ein tzurasim nikeres, memele ve'ein yodu ezu ha-sheretz. And then you went ahead v'noga be'echad me'em v'asa taris. And then v'nechlu, and those taris were nechlu. And then v'toval v'noga b'sheni v'asa taris. So the din is again Arelu Teres, the second Taris Teres, the same exact din, like by the Shnei Shvilim. What's the Shnei Shvilim, he became tummy as a result of walking on the Shvil, and over here he became tummy as a result of touching one of the tumas. However, v'im kayomis or rishenis, if the rishenis are still kayomis, he didn't eat the rishenis, so then elu ve'elu tluyas. And v'im leitavel bin time, and if he wasn't tavel, is a rishenis tluyas, v'asheni is yisarfel. So it's the exact same din. The din, either we have Shnei Shvilim. So again, let's go over it again. The din is if a person had the Shnei Shvilim, and he was holod be'echad mem ba'asa taris. So Ba'amas, the Ram didn't say this, holod be'echad me'asa taris, so he's allowed to eat those taris. Because those taris are taris, it's a suffix. But Lepel, the Ram was talking about a case, he was holod be'echad mem ba'asa taris, and then he was toval, and then he was then he was holod b'sheni, and again it was asa taris. So then the din is, if the taris or rishenis were nechlu, so the din is only about the taris shniyah, so we say that he's allowed to eat it. Masha'enkin, if the taris or rishenis are still intact, so the din is on both of them. So the din is on both of them. So memela, so both of them are tluyas. Now, what happens in a case where he wasn't tevel? So then we say for sure the taris shniyas are yisarfu, and then the taris or rishenis are be'emes toilin. That's the din. That's the chidush really. That if the taris hashnias are yisarfu, so then the taris rishenis are not toiras, they're kluyas. And that same din, which is by Shnei Shvilim, also applies if you have a tzvardeya and a sheretz, and you touched one of them, and you're not sure which one you touched, and again, then you went to the taris, and you ate the taris, and then you went to the mikveh, and then again you touched taris. So again, if the first taris are no longer here, so then the second taris are tor. If the first taris are here, so then we say that they're both tluyas. Masha'in kain, and if lepel, he didn't go to the mikveh in between, so the second taris are definitely tummy, and the first are tluyas. The first are tluyas. Halacha beis. Now shnei shvilim, if he has two shvilim, echad tummy ve'echad tor, and halach be'echad mem v'asa taris, he went again one and he used asa taris. And then Ubochaveri, then another person came, and v'halach b'sheni, he went on the other shvil, and also v'asa taris, he also asa taris. And each one l'chura be'etzem, there's a suffix shusarabim sveikitor. Now in both in nishalu zachar zev, they came separately, and they asked one after the other, is maiden l'cholechad mehem b'fnei atzmi shutar? We go to the first one comes in and says, this is what happens. We tell him he's tor, and then the second one comes along and he asks, tells him what happened to him. So him he's also saying he's tor. However, bo shneim ki echad, if they both came at the same time, eisha bo ha'echad, one person came. V'shol olav al chaver, he is say about himself and about his chaver. V'omer, and he says, Shnai mayinu, we were two people. U'b'shnei hashvilim alachnu, and we both went on the two paths. U'shtei taris asin, and we both did taris. So then is arei shneim te'emeim, they're both te'emeim. U'taris sha'osu nisrofis, and then the taris which they did on nisrofis, because we're saying, since we know for sure that one of them is vade tomei, and we can't say to either of them they store. So b'meilu we say taris sha'osu ar nisrofis. This was talking about Shnei Shvilin, that we're talking about a Tumah Chamura, a Tumah Smes. The same thing would apply to Tumah Kala. Okay, it's at Shnei Kikrim. You have two Kikrim, Echad Tami v'Echad Tor, and Achal is Echad Mem v'Asataris. Then as a person eats a Kikar Tami, so he becomes Tami, Midrabana. So he went ahead and ate one of them. One of them was a Suffolk, the Kikar Tami, Suffolk the Kikar Tor, and it was Asataris. And then Ubochavere and Ochalis Hasheni and also Asataris is initial Uzachar Zeh, so then Shneim Terim. Because each one's a suffix, so it's a suffix, we say Shneim Terim. They say suffix the Risefim, Shubechlal Asvekis, Shetira Chacham Kmishabiyarno. When there's a suffix, if a person ate Echlum Tmeim, so there's a suffix whether he ate Echlum Tmeim, so he's started. A suffix, Ochel Echlum Tmeim, since the whole din of Ochel Echlum Tmeim is only a din D'Rabbanan. If it's a suffix if he ate Echlum Tmeim, so he's started. Now, nishalu shneim kiachas, if they both asked at the same time, we're talking about that it's only a suffix b'negiyah midrabanan, eshanishal olav al chavere, so then shneim tmeim misofik, v'taresam nisrofis, and their tares are nisrofis. Shalivadi echad mem tmeim. Now, be'emes it's shver, because over here the Rambam is saying that in a tzir, where two people went, and we know for sure that one of them is Tommy, and then they came together, and Nishal, either they came together and asked, or Nishal Olav al Chaveri, so we say that they're Tommy, and Memela we say Tariseim Nisrofis. Before, in the case where we had that a person went ahead and he did Taris, and those Taris are still around, and then he went ahead and walked on the other Shvil. And now, again, L'chura Be'emes is Suffolk Tor, but Lepel, since the original Taris are there, and the second Taris are there, so Memela, you can't go ahead and say they're both Tor, so therefore we say they're Toilim. Over there, even though it was a Tartar de Sasri, we didn't say Nisrofis. Over there we said they're Toilim. And over here, when we're talking about two people, so then we say that, or two people, so over here we say they're Nisrofis. That's Mishnah Melech asks the stira. The Ramah brings a teretz from Mekevas HaMishnah. I didn't understand the teretz. The kasha is very clear that l'chur in the case where a person walked on one shvil and then he did taris, and then he went to the mikveh, and then he went on the other shvil and again he did taris, and both taris are in existence. So now the shaila is on both. So we say that they're both toilim. They're both toilim. And over there it doesn't really say that he asked on both. But the Metzias is that there is both. So Mamela over there is toilim. Over here there's a Metzias where they asked about both, or they both came to ask at the same time. So over here we say that not only they're not Tor, but they're actually Nisrofis. I mean, it could be that that's the difference. Over here they asked, and over there they didn't ask. You have to understand exactly the answer. But I'll call upon him, that's the Yisod Dvar. Then the Rambam continues, Vafilu kikor echad tomi. If you have one kikor, even though Be'emes knows what the matzav is over here, that you have two taris, and one of them is definitely Tomei, we don't know which one, so we say Shneim Nisrofis. That's basically what we're saying over here. We have two taris, one of them is definitely Tomei, we don't know which one it is, so therefore Shneim Nisrofis. So the Hemshel, the Rambam says, Vafilu kikor echad tomi, shenis arev b'meya kikris teirim. So again, we have one kikar that's tamei, and there's mea kikars that are teirim. Is kulon tmeim v'yisarfu. That's basically the same yisod. That when we know that there's one thing that's tamei and there's others that are tor, so we say that they're all nisraf. Yeah. Now the shaila is be'emes. There's a musik called bittul, that by truma, if a tamei became this arif b'meya, so it's bottled b'meya. I'll call upon it. The Ramar brings us talking about a kikar balabayas. The mela kikar balabayas is not bottled. I'll call upon it. Halacha gimel kikar tamei shenisarev betisha kikris tehirim. So you have 9 kikris tehirim and 1 kikar tamei. Now ubo chamishim. Now we know that if a person eats a kikar tamei, he becomes tamei. If there's a suffix, if he ate a kikar tamei, he's not tamei. But if the vadai someone ate a kikar tamei, so then they both tamei. That's what we just learned. Now kikar tamei shenisarev betisha kikris tehirim. Now ubo chamisha bnei yodam va'achlu chamisha kikris mem. 5 of those kikris were eaten by 5 people. That was first, and then ubo chamisha bnei yodam acherim, and then afterwards came another 5 people, and va'achlu chamisha rish nisharim, and they left. They ate the other 5. Each one of them ate 1. So the din is as a harishenim tmeim. So you have to understand why harishenim tmeim. L'chura was saying the rishenim atmeim because they ate something which had in it a taruvis of a kikar tamei. Since they ate something which had a taruvis of a kikar tamei, so even though be'emes l'chura they could always tine it that maybe the kikar tamei wasn't the 5 left over. But we don't say that. We don't say that since it's part of the taruvis and it was ikva in there. So therefore, the rishenim atmeim mipnei she'en lem anoshim acherim she'itlu b'hem. Now l'chura they could taina again. They could taina that it was left in the rest. But we'll learn. There's a din that if l'moshel, if you have a taruvis and then part of the taruvis, this whole din is the chadin d'rabbanan. So if part of the taruvis left l'moshel, you have something was nisarif, and then a part of it left. And it was one of the oyser. One was nisarif in 10. Now 1 was left from this 10. Now you only have 9 left. So we could say there's a clear to say that the one that left is that one that fell in, and Memela there's no Isser over here. Saldar is over here. Over here, when you had the original Kikar Tommy amongst the 10, so Memela there was a kviyas that there is a Kikar Tommy over here. Then when the 5 people ate these 5 kikrim, so since there was a kviyas that there was a Kikar Tommy over here, and they ate it bebasachas, so Memela we say that all 5 of them became Tommy. But now that they already ate it, so now there could be a svara that already the Kikar Tommy was already eaten. So now when the other 5 come along and eat it, so then over here we'll say they'll be toilet that the first 5 already ate it, and Memela it's only a suffix. Again, we have to come on to the yisod that eating something that's tummy is only metami with rabbanon. And if there's a suffix about it, so Memela it's not tummy because a suffix with the very safe is not matami. The only time it is matami is when we're saying that it's not a suffix. So the first 5, for some reason or another, you're saying it's not a suffix. Even though, again, we're saying the l'chura is a suffix, because there's l'chura left in the other 5. So we're saying no, that since in this taruvis there's a kikar tamei, so memela the whole taruvis has a din of tumah. Now it's shver, because before we had 2 kikres, and you ate 1, it was only a suffix. So l'chura, it's only when the 2 people come together. So l'chura, even though over there it's also a taruvis. So the Rambam Ha'ara brings that over there it's talking about in a case where it's not a taruvis, it's like you're not sure which one you ate, but lepela was never misarif. Not such a clear answer. So just it's a little bit hard to understand, but let's just get the halacha straight. The Rambam is saying halacha zoy. If you have a kikar tummy that was nisariv with 9 kikris tahirim, and 5 people came along and ate 5 of those kikris, so those 5 people are tummy. They're tummy. They don't go into together a suffix divrei sefer matur. Mashenkin, when another 5 people came and ate the leftover 5 kikris, so they are tar because they are toila that the kikar atami was already eaten in the first kikris that were eaten. Why can't the first 5 people be toila that the kikar atami was in the other 5 that was left over? That's tzarech bir. Let's read the halacha again inside. Kikar tami. Shenesarev betisha kikris teirim. Ubo chanishim bnei adam va'achlu chamisha kikris mem. And then ubo chamisha bnei adam acherim va'achlu chamisha nishar. So the din is Arishenim Tmeim. Mipnei she'ein lem anoshim acherim sheitlu mem. There's no anoshim acherim. They were the first 5 people that ate it. V'chamisha anoshim acherim. But the second set of 5 people, they are Tehirim. Mipnei she'ein teila b'rishenim. They're teila that the tummy was b'rishenim. The teila b'rishenim. Halacha Dalet. Now we said before that when the Shnei Shvilim and 2 people came b'basachas, and therefore we can't say that they're both tor, so therefore we say they're both tummy. B'medvar mamurim, when they were both be'etzem tor, they were originally tor, and now the question is, are we going to say they're both tor? We can't say they're both tor, so therefore we have to say they're both tummy. But what happens if one of them was already tummy b'chlal, or he was a suffix tummy, and the other one was a tor? So then we could be toil and say that the Tomei became Tomei and the Tor became Tor. It remained Tor. So Mechiyai Gavna there won't be a Tar to the Sasre. So since he's Tomei anyways, so Mela would toil that the Tomei went in the Tomei and the Tor went in the Tor. And Mela, so then you can be Mata the Tor. That's like a Agbola in this din of Shnei Shvilin that we learned before, that of Bo B'Basachas, they're both Tomei. But Medvar Mamurim, if they were originally both Tor. Mashengen, if one was tummy and one was tor, so then we'll say that the tor remains tor and the tum remains tummy. That's halacha dal. Shnei shvilin, echot tummy v'echot tor, and v'holchu b'em shnei anoshim, but ish echot tor v'ish echot tummy, and nochmer afilo haya echot toli, ish echot tor, and one person that was a suffix tummy. So the din is hareza hator, teila b'toli. The tor could be toil and say, I'm tor. One of them is tummy. Yeah, the toli is tummy. He remains tor. But nevertheless, it won't be a tar to the sasi, because since he's anyways tummy, so Mela will say the tummy remains tummy, or the suffix remains a suffix. Mashenkin, the other person, which was holach, which was originally a tor, remains tor.